Macho has been manufacturing rescue tools in their Glen Burnie, Maryland facility for over 30 years. From the machining process to its laser.
We'll go ahead and get started with today's NTT IndyCar Series post-practice press conference, joined now by Ryan Hunter-Reay, driver of the number 28 DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport. Finished second fastest overall in today's combined practice sessions, but on top in this morning's session. Ryan, it seems like you and Scott Dixon are switching top spots in practice. What are some things that Andretti Autosport has found throughout these two practice sessions?
Really, we're just getting back to finding our baseline. You know, from last year, obviously, we had very competitive cars, and again, this year rolled off with a really a good setup, I think. You know, it was a good starting point. We've made some changes to it, trying to find what to do and what not to, as you regularly would on a street course. The tricky part about a street course is you have to keep up with the racetrack. You have to be proactive in keeping up with it. So as you go through the race weekend, there's constantly changing conditions. You all right? Hi. Hey. So it's yeah, it was a good first day. Definitely learned a lot, and you know, I know what to apply for tomorrow.
Joined also by Patricio Ward, driving the number 31 Guess Carlin Chevy for Carlin. Finished fifth fastest in today's overall timesheets. Pato, we saw you very close up on the timesheets in the top 5, and your first time around this track. What are your initial impressions of it?
This place is a blast. It's quite hard to get those last three tenths. It's really hard to get everything right. You have to be very precise, because obviously here you don't have grass, you have a wall. So it's pretty it's pretty tough to get around here with a perfect lap. But I'm enjoying it so far. We've done some pretty good running. I've been struggling with the blacks for some reason, but it looked to be okay with reds. So we're going to be working on that for tomorrow, and yeah, looking forward to the event. All I hear is good things about this place.
Ryan, we're hearing Patricio's initial impressions of the track in his first time around it here, but you're obviously a veteran, a winner here in 2010, and I know that was a special win for you. From a veteran's standpoint, what makes this track so special?
Yeah, I'm not sharing anything with him. There's no way. This place is, you know, outside the Indy 500, it's my favorite event, not only because of the...
Second biggest, yeah, on the schedule?
Second biggest, yeah. And it's just, you know, the fan attendance, the fans are passionate about their IndyCar racing. They know who's who, what's what, and they know why they're here. And, you know, the location, Southern California, the track layout is my favorite street track layout as well, even if it wasn't Long Beach. So it's got everything going for it. It's got the history of it. And, you know, I feel fortunate enough to call myself a previous winner. But if I look back on the years, there's been a lot of missed opportunities. So trust me, that's always on my mind. And hopefully we can take advantage of that. But it's a great event to be a part of. And he is right. Patricio's right. It's tough to put the lapper together around here, especially getting that last little bit, because you have to really, you know, you have to be at 10 tenths, putting your car in an awkward spot. But at the same time, you have to be precise. If you're off by a foot in some corners, it could mean several positions in qualifying.
Questions for Ryan or Patricio? Yes, sir, up front.
A question for Ryan. Ryan, as was mentioned, you won here in 2010, but I think since then your best finish has been 6th. What makes this particular street course so tough to be continuously successful on?
Yeah, the one I finished 6th in, I got penalized in as well. So I haven't had a drama-free Long Beach other than 2010, I think. We were leading at 14 and had a gearbox failure, and leaving at 11, had a gearbox failure at 14, you know, made an opportunistic pass, and was leading then as well. So it's just, it's one of those tracks you have to put it all together. But I just enjoy getting around this place. I don't know, it suits my driving style, and we've worked hard to put this setup on the car over the years. It's been a development and progress.
Question from Jeff in the back.
Should close those doors, probably.
I know.
Yeah.
Could we close those doors in the back, please? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gluck. For both of you, Ryan, you said you enjoy it. Pato, you said it's a blast. Are you actually having fun driving out there? Like, does it go to that level of enjoyment, or is it just you enjoy it compared to other tracks?
No, I think, you have to be having fun doing this. It's not, I feel like if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it, right? So you have to enjoy it. You have to have fun where you're at. But it's definitely, I think it's just a place that everybody likes to come to because the energy around this place. I've never been here, but just today's a Friday, man, and the paddock is full. The stands are like packed. I've never seen a Friday so full in my life, and it's cool. It's really cool. I wonder what it's gonna be like Sunday. So I mean, I think Ryan knows better than I do, but I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's excellent. And don't mistake him what he's saying. He's not out there giggling, while he's on the track. He's enjoying it in that it ticks every box off for a driver that you'd want. You've got the passion out there, you got the energy out there from the fans, you've got the tracks challenging you, as a driver. It's got that aspect to it that you really enjoy. Session to session, you can't wait to get back in the car. And,
like every time it's a track that rewards you
Yeah.
in a way. Like if you get something right, it feels good for sure.
Other questions? Yes, Jenna.
Hey Ryan, I'm wondering what you think. What do you make so far of the start to the season? There's been some unusual winners, and Alex was in here earlier, and he said that he doesn't think that we'll see a season with. We'll see a guy win 5 races again because this field is so closely covered. What do you make so far this year?
I would tend to agree with that unless somebody really goes on a streak and and finds a hot streak, which champions often do when they have a championship year. But yeah, it is crazy, how tough this is. The series has been very tight for years, and it just continues to go that way. Partly due to the fact that we have rookies that come in and are not really rookies. They don't look like them anyway. They don't perform like them. So there's a lot of talent that's come up and has done some impressive things, and I think filled some holes in the top 10. That really, in the first place, there weren't many big gaps there. So these guys have done a great job. But yeah, I agree. It's anybody's guess who can win an IndyCar race, and that's the beautiful thing about this series.
Any other questions for Ryan or Patricio? Yes, Patrick.
Ryan, you smirked. I know y'all thought it was kind of funny. What do you think when you see a kid run into the media center? Doesn't that seem a little strange?
Yeah. He ran. He did a cartwheel. He did a cartwheel right here as he jumped up on stage. Yeah. Yeah. He's enjoying himself. You got to love it. He's got that talent. He's got the fire to do it, and that's what it's about. So it's cool to see, for sure. But yeah, the more you go to press conferences, the slower the entrance becomes. I don't know. I'm not sure how that goes.
But does that help keep you motivated? In seeing those kids on the chart.
The lap times motivate me. I see how close it is, and that motivates me enough. So it's tight. You like I said, you miss something, you miss a break point by a foot around here, it feels like you've lost position. So it'll be an interesting day tomorrow for qualifying, no doubt.
Ryan, Patricio, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate your time. We'll welcome in Scott Dixon driving the number 9 PNC Bank Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. Fastest in the overall speed charts and the 2015 winner here at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Scott, I think I saw your teammate Felix Rosenquist in 3rd. It seems like things are starting off really strong for your team. What's clicking amongst the transporters there?
I think we've generally had pretty good cars here in the past, but I think there's definitely a lot to be said. Rolling off quick in the first session. Felix has done a fantastic job, I think, at most of the street courses and road courses that we've had this year. The rookies get an extra set of tires, but he definitely makes the most of it. And in Q2, practice 2, it's the same for everybody. But for us, the car feels like it's in the window. We're just trying to make it a little easier to drive. It's quite nice that Felix and I have a pretty similar feeling. I haven't had that kind of crossover for a few years. So he's a big talent, and it's great to work with him. He's he's a good person and someone that's definitely going to push the team hard, but also I think someone that's bright for the future of IndyCar, which is definitely needed. And as we see with Pato and Herder, there's a lot of fresh talent coming in, and it's good to see.
We heard from Ryan and Patricio on what, in their eyes, from somebody who's seeing it for the first time and someone who's seen it a few times, what makes this track so special in your eyes? What's the answer to that?
It's very difficult. It's quite a technical circuit. It's quite hard to piece it together. I think it's any street course, it's very easy to get caught out. I think even in that session, I probably hit the wall 3 or 4 times, just lightly, but you're constantly just rubbing the walls or getting close, and especially with how tight the competition is right now, it's you give up a little bit, as Ryan was kind of alluding to, you're going to slip down the field pretty quickly. So I don't know. Long Beach is it's a race that's been around. Well, this is the 45th one. The history here, whether it's IndyCar, Grand Prix cars, Can-Am cars, it's always been a strong event. But I think what we all love the most is the atmosphere. The fans here and the people that come out, and the event that the promoters turn this into is a big deal.
Absolutely. Any questions for Scott? Yes, Jenna.
Come on, Jenna.
Hey, Scott, you're a slow starter typically, and you're second in the standings with 2 runner-up finishes. So how has that happened?
Well, we fixed that at Coda with the 13th. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the car, in Coda, I think we had, it was going to be a 3rd or a 4th. We didn't have the speed to win. I think had we had track position, at St. Pete, it could have been a good one. And Alabama was just holding on. I don't think we really had we had the speed, but we just didn't have, we just had such big degradation. Or when you pushed, the car, the tires didn't really, stay there. But yeah, it's good. I think. Also, I think with Felix, working with him even in off-season testing, I think his process is a lot different. I think when you're in a team and you keep being part of people that are part of the sport or just this formula, it's a lot of the same. Whereas Felix is, driven Super GT, Super Formula, Formula E. There's a much bigger difference in the process that they use. So I think it's open not just my eyes but the team's eyes with how we approach things that we maybe hadn't even thought of before, and even style a bit. So I think it's maybe broadened the box that we fit in a little bit better, so the car's maybe a little more compliant and a little more adaptable. And plus I think Honda's been doing a fantastic job. Yeah, I think they're doing pretty good right now.
Yes, question up front.
We're going into qualifying right now, into Saturday, and knowing that the past couple of years there's been different winners from not just the drivers and the teams. What do you feel like it'll take to end it? Because do you feel like the streak will extend, or you're hoping that indeed you get my point?
I think you mean the mix of the winners for the last few years? At Long Beach, yeah, I don't know, this one's a tough one just because of the strategy. Last year I think we were running second the whole race and missed the last, caution and ended up running 13th. So that definitely flips it. It always seems that, getting up to speed out of the pits here creates a lot of opportunity to pass people, so that crossover becomes very important. And, it's determined the race many a times. We've won a race that way. We've lost a race in 16, because of maybe being a little too complacent on in and out laps. So qualifying is very important, as it is most weekends, but, definitely on the street courses, it's a little harder to pass. But I think here there's definitely a much bigger emphasis on the pit exchange, the in-lap and the out-lap, and now with how everybody uses the overtake, that can change from, being the same to plus or minus a second. So that creates, I think those for us and for the drivers and for the teams, that's a big part. But getting back to your point, I think, it just shows you how tight the field is. There's so many good car and driver combinations now that if anybody just hits it that little bit better or gets that lap a little bit put together, it's going to make all the difference. And placement here in qualifying does definitely help.
Any other questions for Scott? Yes, sir.
Hi, Scott. J.C. Agajan. And I was watching you in the last practice session, and you were standing on it real good, coming down the back straightaway, and then that 90, and it looked as though any other driver would have wadded it up, yet you gathered it up, and that's, I'm sure, why you're around at the end of every season vying for the top space. But are you finding the track to be dirty? We've had wins here in Southern California. Alex Rossi said this morning that it was very dirty in the first session. Is that bothering the drivers at all?
I think in that scenario, I just closed my eyes and let go of the steering wheel, and it's it went straight. But no, it's definitely Tuesday, Wednesday here. The winds were horrendous. We were out here for a Honda meeting, and yeah, I couldn't believe it. But I think if you look at the times in this session were over a second faster than last year, but the temperature, last year was very hot. And the heat is the biggest performance factor for us right now, especially track temp. The tires don't like it, the engine doesn't like it. Today we had a really nice headwind into turn 1, so that definitely helps, but makes it difficult getting into the last corner, turn 9 on the back straight there. But no, I think the track surface has been pretty good. It's always a little funky through 9, 10, 11, just because of the drifters. There's like an inch thick of rubber out there, so if you get a little wide there, it just builds up on the tire and you go straight into the fence. So I think you notice everybody staying pretty tight on that corner.
Yes, Bruce.
If Chip had called you for the Ford GT, would you have said yes?
Yeah, he did call me. I said, call me back if you get stuck.
Any other questions for Scott? Honesty time here. I like it. Scott, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.